today's news, the 3 recent COVID-19 deaths identified as elderly residents, with that total now at 17 for the year. And 24 students tested positive for COVID-19 during school testing regime that saw 1,400 students in total being tested. And we also see Labour to consider reverting back to manually processing work permits after a backlog of some 2,064 applications. And Sidewalks in Rotown finally getting the attention needed after a Tweet for Media recent viral story which acquired 2.4 million views. Of yours, these and more stories when Tweet for News return.
Live stream cable TV is here with CCT Live. Access over 80 channels that you can watch either at home or when you're on the go. And don't worry about missing your favorite series, sports, news, and local programming. Rewind and watch in your own time. Come to CCT today and ask about our 1-month free trial offer. CCT Live. Bring it home.
Well, welcome everyone. A happy Friday to one and all. It's February 11th, 2022. I'm Kamal Haynes, coming to you live from the beautiful British Virgin Islands. A happy Friday to one and all, and thank you so much for joining us. Well, we start today's newscast on the subject of COVID-19, where the 3 most recent COVID-related deaths have all been identified as senior citizens. Where the Ministry of Health and Social Development made a confirmation in a media release issued on Thursday, February 10th. Where the release stated, and I quote, where the deceased are a 91-year-old female and an 82-year-old male who died on February 6th and an 87-year-old female who died on February 8th, end quote. While speaking on the deceased, Acting Chief Medical Officer Dr. Ronald Georges said that the elderly persons with chronic diseases and immunocompromised persons are particularly vulnerable to the complications of COVID-19. He said, and I quote, vulnerable persons should make a special effort to adhere to the public health protocols and avail themselves of opportunities to get vaccinated and boosted to lower their vulnerability to the severe impacts of COVID-19, end quote. Well, viewers, the latest statistics now means that a total of 17 elderly persons have succumbed to COVID-19 in the BVI for this year so far. But the ministry continues to encourage residents to get vaccinated or boosted and to adhere to the existing COVID-19 protocols. Well, viewers, moving on to our next story, where the recently instituted rapid testing regime in schools across the territory detected approximately 24 positive COVID-19 cases among students within public schools after an estimated 1,400 students were tested for the virus. Well, this was confirmed by the Deputy Premier and Minister for Education, Dr. the Honorable Natalia Wheatley, who made a disclosure during a recent interview with Tweet for News. He said the figures provided only represented public schools in the territory, since at the time of the interview, the statistics from within the private schools were not yet made available. Take a listen.
I have the statistics for most of our public schools. There were 1 or 2 schools which were not open as yet for different reasons. But among the public schools who were tested, we administered somewhere around 1,400 tests. And out of those 1,400 tests, 24 students tested positive initially, and then they would have gone on to get their PCR tests at the HSA. Now, I do not have the figures from the Health Services Authority for the persons who ended up testing positive through PCR. Some of them may not have tested positive through PCR. Okay, so but based on the testing regime that was put in place, 1,400 persons were tested and 24 came out positive.
While the Education Minister also explained the importance of having the testing regime, as it was able to prevent the possible spread of the virus within schools.
I'm very happy with the work of the teachers, the staff, all of the persons who trained them, the HSA staff who helped to train persons, those parents who consented to have their children tested, and the students themselves. I'm pleased with them being able to participate in this very, very important process Kamal, we're well aware that we had a huge COVID spike. The numbers have come down to over 100 now. But if we're not vigilant, the numbers can go right back up. And one of the most important tools we have is testing. It's important to get persons tested and to ensure that if they're positive, they're isolated from other persons. Now, we had a process that we introduced in the schools. It's just another screening process. We have screening that takes place at the hospital. We have screening that takes place at the airport and the ferry terminals. And we're just introducing more screenings. And of course, we know that our schools have quite a number of students, and we want to make sure that we keep the students safe, we keep the teachers safe, and we keep the families of the students who the students come home to safe.
But meanwhile, Dr. Wheatley also expressed his gratitude with teachers, staff, students, and parents who consented to the initiative.
It's important for us to be responsible. Responsible parents, responsible teachers, responsible principals. And to be responsible is when you have the opportunity to test, that you make sure you do so, because you do not want to put anyone else in danger. And as we have seen, COVID-19 is a lethal disease. Now, COVID-19 is not very lethal among children, but children are carriers of the virus, and they can take it home to a grandparent who has underlying health conditions. And even recently, we've seen quite a number of persons who have passed away from COVID-19, persons who have diabetes, persons who are hypertensive, persons who have underlying conditions, persons who are elderly. And by infecting them with COVID-19, we place their lives at risk. So I'll continue to encourage persons when they have the opportunity to test. There's no good reason why we shouldn't test in this COVID-19 era. It's an additional layer of security and safety for our children in our schools, for the teachers, administrators, and for the families at home.
Well, viewers, just a reminder that a COVID testing regime was implemented across schools within the territory as part of the Ministry of Education's overall plan to safely resume face-to-face learning during the pandemic. Well, up next, Labour to consider reverting back to manually processing work permits after a backlog of 2,064 applications. And Sidewalks in Road Town finally gets attention after 284 Media's recent viral story, which acquired 2.4 million views. But these and more stories when 284 News return.
So you're saying I can ask this cat any question?
The cat is connected to the computer. You just type in the question, it will read his mind. There the answer comes.
You're the man! I've been looking for this for weeks.
But welcome back, viewers. Well, the Department of Labor and Workforce Development is likely to be reverting back to manually processing work permit applications after the recently implemented online system is said to have failed to achieve the intended goal. But the suggestion to revert back to manually processing work permit applications came from a resident during the stakeholders meeting, which was held by the government on Thursday, February 10th. Well, after making the suggestion, Labour Commissioner Michelle McLean lauded the idea, stating that it was a really good proposal. But backing the Labour Commissioner's comment was the Minister of Labour and Immigration, Honourable Vincent Wheatley, who said he would reluctantly do it once it will solve the present backlog that exists in Labour. Take a listen.
As we try to modernize labor, I am for online, I am for going green. But if the commissioner is telling me by going back to the manual system is going to alleviate this current situation, I am prepared to do it, though grudgingly. But if it's going to help in any way, take a day or two off the process, I'm willing to do it for a certain period of time. But I do not think manual is the way to go as we modernize and we go into an electronic era. But if it is going to help to alleviate the situation right now, well then, like I say, I'll grudgingly say, let's do it.
Well, according to Ms. McLean, the online work permit system, which was implemented back in July 2021, was often faced with several technical issues, ranging from the disappearance of submitted applications to still having to manually process some documents. She said these technical difficulties made her employees work even harder and not smarter as intended.
We are working on a system that when you upload the information, sometimes it disappears. We are working on a system where we have to physically print every paper that you submit to the department. It is time consuming.
So what you're telling me is that we may as well just be turning in the paper sheets.
Exactly.
But the Labor Commissioner also revealed that there is a backlog of some 2,064 work permit applications that need to be processed. She said since the new system was implemented, it received a total of 5,466 applications, with 3,546 renewals and 1,573 new applications.
It was envisioned that the implementation of this long-awaited system would improve the efficiency in the processing of work permits and cause a reduction in the number of times that employers or employees would have to visit the Department of Labor and Workforce Development. As of today's date, of the 5,466 applications received through the system, 3,546 were renewals and approximately 2,005 have been processed. From the 1,573 new applications submitted, approximately 1,050 have been processed along with all 347 temporary entertainment or emergency work permit applications. Presently, we have about 2,064 renewal or new applications in the system to be processed. In December, due to certain technical shortfallings of the system, which caused the staff to be working harder and not smarter, a decision was made to allow only new work permit applications to be submitted via the system, as it was initially created just for this purpose. As such, all other types of work permits, such as renewals, temporary, and entertainment, was submitted hard copy, as was done before the system was introduced. Additionally, a drop-box service was initiated for employers or employees wishing to submit their application fee payments via checks for the new or new change of employer online work permit applications.
Meanwhile, Minister Wheatley said he has been pleading with the Deputy Governor's office to provide additional staff to deal with the present labor shortage within the Department of Labor and Workforce Development. He said presently there is a dialogue between him, his ministry, and the Deputy Governor's office to address the labor shortage.
The public service falls under the Deputy Governor's office, and we have been in constant dialogue, begging, pleading, asking, please give us staff at labor. The industry is hurting. We need staff. We also needed licenses. I think we got the licenses because we could buy them. However, I cannot assign a single person to labor. That duty of the public service and its composition is square at the governor and deputy governor's feet. We can only beg and plead and complain and jump up, which we have been doing.
Well, viewers, Honorable Wheatley also said he will be taking all the recommendations from the stakeholders meeting into consideration and will be returning back to the public soon with all the decisions made. Well, moving on to our final story before the break, where we see on December 16, 2021, viral videos were circulated across social media showcasing tourists in Rotong, Tortola who had an extremely frustrating and difficult time maneuvering through the busy capital. Well, this was due to insufficient or inefficient sidewalks suitable for disabled pedestrians, and our 284's Ron Grant has the latest on that story.
Multiple videos sent to our newsroom showed a local athlete, Mr. Franklin Penn, getting out of his vehicle and assisting a visiting couple after seeing their utter frustration with trying to maneuver through the town. The video posted by our newsroom received some 2.4 million views. Once he got the tourists off the sidewalk, Penn then allowed them to go in front of his vehicle and followed them as they returned on the main road to the Cyril B. Romney Tortola Pier Park. The inclement weather did not add to the situation, with tourism being one of the main economic pillars of the BVI and industry partners continuing to do their best to reignite the industry. Residents say matters such as this needs to be addressed. In an invited comment, Penn said, "I had to help. They looked frustrated and disappointed." In an invited comment by our newsroom, Minister for Transportation and Works, the Honorable Kai Reimer, said, and I quote, "As a matter of priority and safety for all our pedestrians, the team at the Public Works Department has been working on a comprehensive review of the sidewalks in the Roadtown area. The results will yield a strategy to remedy any area that needs to be addressed for safety and accessibility." Over the years, residents have taken to social media and local radio programming, pleading for better road infrastructure and, moreover, mechanisms such as proper sidewalks which cater to locals and visitors with disabilities. The issue is not one specific to the BVI. However, residents are pleading for the matter to be addressed urgently, and it seems as though it is finally being given some attention. As you can see behind me, the sidewalks in Tortola, British Virgin Islands, the capital, Roadtown, are finally getting some much needed attention. This is, of course, as residents and visitors have long complained about the deplorable condition. Recently, tourists visiting the British Virgin Islands had the most difficult time maneuvering through the city. The Honorable Minister for Transportation and Works, the Honorable Kai Reimer, has vowed to transform the city of Roadtown, making it easier for residents and visitors to traverse. Since taking office, Minister Reimer has sought to redevelop the Roadtown area, specifically with a rerouting of traffic in an effort to minimize traffic congestion. The studies of that are still to be shared on whether it has made a difference or not. In the meantime, motorists are asked to be aware of and exercise patience with tourists as they traverse through the capital. Minister for Transportation, Works and Utilities, Honorable Kai Reimer, said that his ministry stands firm on its vision of providing a high standard of internationally accepted public infrastructure for the territory. Honorable Reimer also stated that works have begun on Administration Drive, the first of 3 phases of the Roadtown and Sidewalk Improvement Program for the city of Roadtown. This phase, he said, is expected to include the stretch of Roadtown, Banco Popular to Social Security Building. Acting Director of the Public Works Department, Mr. Jeremy Hodge, has also shared that the department's road and sidewalk improvement program for the city will provide consistency for movement for persons with disability, persons with strollers, wheelchairs, or electric mobility scooters. Mr. Hodge said, and I quote, "Persons with disabilities have difficulties getting on and off of our sidewalks, and there has been complaints. Also, you will notice that there are some sidewalks that are failing, which are trip hazard, so those will be addressed." The ministry is asking motorists to exercise caution and patience as extensive road repairs and infrastructure work continues throughout the territory. Reporting for 284 News, Ron Grant.
Oh, thank you, Ron. Well, viewers, up next, the annual African Remembrance Wreath Laying ceremony to be held this Sunday. And Stalwart USVI commentator Athniel Addie Ottley has passed away at the age of 80. Viewers, all this and more after a word from our sponsors.
The wait is over! CCT Fire is here! Experience ultra-fast downloads, seamless streaming, and even more reliable connectivity on an all-new fire-blazing super-fast CCT Fiber network. CCT Fire, bring it home and upgrade today.
Is business slow? Cash flow down? Hosting an upcoming event? We can help. Advertise with 284 Media and take your business or event to the next level by enhancing your present marketing and messaging strategies. Allow our team of experts to create a personalized ad that sets your business apart from all the rest. This could be your business or event. So, what are you waiting for? Contact our marketing team at 284media@cctbvi.com. Advertising with us works.
Well, welcome back, viewers. Well, this Sunday, the African Studies Club will be holding their annual wreath laying ceremony in honor of the African ancestors who lost their lives through the transatlantic slave trade. Well, our 284's Neil Douglas sat down with the president of the African Studies Club, Mr. Art Christopher, to discuss the significance of this ceremony. Take a listen.
So, as you said, I'm here representing the African Studies Club, and this is our 14th African Remembrance Wreath Laying ceremony. And we do this every year to give remembrance and to give some kind of reverence to all four parents who came before us, particularly our ancestors that perished during the transatlantic slave trade, and for us to memorialize their contributions, their legacy, their sacrifice for us being here. So we're very happy to invite the community to come out and participate with us and engage in this annual ceremony that we do to give remembrance to our ancestors.
So you said this is the 14th year that we've done this event. Could you tell me about the first time that we did it and how it came about?
Well, it's kind of legend now, but our elder Gil Trott, he was the one that actually initiated this tradition that we carry on. And he was the one that did this by himself. So he just took some flowers and some wreath and took it to the ocean and gave a remembrance. And from that day forward, we memorialized it every year, and the tradition started from then.
Okay, for persons who are thinking, don't we pay homage to our ancestors during festival time, for example, why do we need this particular ceremony?
Well, it's interesting that you mentioned that. Our festival time is indeed a period where we give, are supposed to give some homage to our ancestors and our foreparents. But we as the African Studies Club, we chose February because of Black History Month. And this ceremony basically begins our Black History Month programs and our community activities for Black History Month. I too would like to see our festival be more in line or upkeeping in terms of our African tradition or our African ancestry, and use it more of an opportunity to get to re-educate ourselves about our heritage.
And why is it important for individuals of African descent particularly to pay their respects to our forefathers? Why do you think, in your own words?
Well, there's a deep sense of humility, of gratitude, and there's a grounding that happens when every year, and people speak about it, when we engage in this ceremony in this way. It helps to keep us focused and grounded and remember who we are so that we can know where we're going. And so, you know the old saying, a tree without roots. And so we really honor that tradition, and it's a part of African culture to always give honor to our ancestors. And as part of that, we do what we call the libations. So, and that is a deep, deep part of African tradition. Almost anywhere that you go on the African continent, you see a tradition of libations. And so we're asking our community to remember these traditions, not to let them fall by the wayside, and to really move forward with confidence into whatever future we have as a people.
Well, viewers, once again, the ceremony will be held this Sunday, February 13th, behind Craft Alive. The dress code is all white, and to view that full interview with Nia and Mr. Christopher, stay tuned to our social media pages just after this newscast. Well, viewers, moving on to our next stories, where parades in the USVI will never be the same without the iconic voice of renowned commentator Athniel Addie Ottley. Well, Ottley passed away yesterday evening, February 10th, 2022. Well, this was confirmed by WTJX-TV Virgin Islands, a network he worked for decades. At the end of January this year, the radio personality broadcasted one of his final shows for WSTA from his daughter's home in Indiana, USA. But the USVI Daily News had reported that he signed off officially for the final time and announced his retirement. The renowned commentator began his radio career as a teen with his own AM radio station. Well, since that time, he has held positions inside and outside the industry, including a term as lieutenant governor. Well, a year after hurricanes of Irma and Maria had hit the territory, Ottley was awarded an honorary doctorate from the University of the Virgin Islands for his service in the aftermath of disasters. We're sending condolences to the USVI and the family of the late Ottley was Premier Andrew Foy, who praised Ottley as one of the best radio announcers the Virgin Islands has ever seen.
I want to say our deepest condolences from the people of the BVI to our next door neighbors at USVI in the past, and also of Addie, one of the greatest radio personnel and persons that the USVI and even BVI have seen. He was the heartbeat of the radio, especially in the mornings. And I personally had a lot of interaction with him when I went to a CVI. I was there when it changed from CVI to UVI, and they started a radio station named WUVI, and I actually was working on the radio station and was trained to work on the station. And we had Mr. Luraz and Mr. Addie were mentors for the station, and I had a lot of great time with him. He's one of the best persons that you ever want to meet. The passing of him is not just a passing of any other individuals, a passing of a piece of our heritage, and a large piece of it, and a piece of who we are as Virgin Islanders overall, whether US or BVI. He was a conscience of the Virgin Islands, especially in the USVI, and yet he brought a warming and soothing way about when he brought across his points that they were done, that brought awareness but not bitterness. He was able to unite us in the mornings with his show, and unite us in the way that he would go about anything, even if when they were controversial. So from the people of the Virgin Islands, as we recognize all our other stalwarts here that have passed early on in this press conference, I want to take this time to express our condolences to the family of Mr. Addie, and also to the entire U.S. Virgin Islands during this time.
Well, viewers, Ottley will be remembered across the Virgin Islands for his wit, charm, and his iconic voice. Well, viewers, that's it for all today's newscasts. Be sure to follow us for our daily updates at 284media.com, and like us on Facebook at 284media and 284BVI on Instagram and Twitter. I'm Kamal Haynes. Have a happy Friday and a safe weekend. Bye-bye.
Live stream cable TV is here with CCT Live. Access over 80 channels that you can watch either at home or when you're on the go. And don't worry about missing your favorite series, sports, news, and local programming. Rewind and watch in your own time. Come to CCT today and ask about our 1-month free trial offer. CCT Live. Bring it home.
So you're saying I can ask this cat any question?
The cat is connected to the computer. You just type in the question, it will read his mind. There the answer comes.
You're the man! I've been looking for this for weeks.